Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin.
Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, 25-year serial tech entrepreneur, 30 ventures under my belt, author of Fail Hard, Win Big, and CEO of Sonatify Technology. Today here we are joined by Fawad Rashid. Fawad has been a CTO for over 10 years. He is a professor. He has been a co-founder. He is not your average CTO, and we're going to get into that on all the areas Fawad touches. Fawad, welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Please walk us, take a minute or two and walk us through the journey of your career and how you ended up as CTO at Zest Dental Solutions.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. Fawad Rashidi. Back in 2005, I was studying software engineering at Cal State Northridge here in Los Angeles area. And by accident, Dr. Gerald Nismek, who is known as the godfather of dental implant, he hired me to build his digital ecosystem for his commercial systems such as e-commerce and CRM and business intelligence. And please remember, back in 2005, Netflix was still shipping DVDs and Amazon was still selling books. And he hired me to build the e-commerce for a medical device company.
I'm trying to think, were iPhones even out then? I think maybe that's when they just started, like in its infancy. So in technology's years, that was a long time ago.
Yes, that was, Steve. Fast forward, Danaher Corporation, a Fortune 500 company at the time, purchases Implant Direct. And one of the reasons they purchased Implant Direct because of the digital ecosystem we had developed. At that time, I got promoted to basically build what I had built for Implant Direct for other companies in the dental segment under Danaher Corporation. Long story short, 2016, I went to my boss and I hugged him. I thanked him for everything he had done. And I decided to pursue executive MBA at Pepperdine, which then led to a startup company, Curement, that I co-founded with my classmate. And then somehow Pepperdine eventually hired me as an adjunct instructor to teach technology management. And then I did that for a number of years. We were pretty successful. And then my boss from Danaher invited me to come back for just one-day consulting services at Zest. And that led to 3 weeks. And then from 3 weeks, eventually he said, you got to come back and work for me at Zest Dental Solutions. So here I am, round 2, working with him side by side in the medical device manufacturing industry.
Fantastic. And that's a phenomenal story. And I love how you decided you needed to take a different step in your career, get additional education, go experience the startup side, which I think everyone should do, talk about building character and learning how to be persistent, and then kind of back where you're started. And I'm sure now working with the same CEO and founder, you probably have a much different perspective as you ventured out into further your education and the startup world.
Absolutely, Steve. And part of my conversation early on in 2019, and I'm sure we are going to dive deeper into what I actually do as a CTO for Zest Dental Solutions. One thing that I'm so proud of our organization, back in 2019, we made a strategic decision that we wanted to make the company at that time in 2019, believe it or not, Zest, almost over 50 years old company, was heavily dependent on other manufacturers and distributors to sell our products. And going back to who I am as a person, building these technology footprints to not only build direct capability with clinicians, but also support and empower our commercial team across the country and in some cases across the world. My boss tasked me to build that type of ecosystem for Zest in 2019. So fast forward today, like more than half of our business, we are selling directly to businesses, and other half remains through other manufacturers. So we have highly diversified the business.
So as a CTO, that's a pretty different spin to ask a CTO to change around the business structure.
Yes, for sure. And one thing that, going back to one of Steve Jobs' famous quote, go backward, connect the dots. And when I joined Zest, I reflected on all of my journeys in the medical manufacturing industry, my startup background. So actually in 2019, we built the foundation, how we wanted to scale the business. And I mean, I'm sure everybody would agree, nobody predicted that the pandemic would come and hit us hard.
Right.
However, Zest, and what I'm really proud of, we were not closed for a single business day that we were supposed to be open. We actually in 2020, when most companies were shut down, we were working around the clock, and we were running, we were operational, and we were servicing doctors, clinicians across the world.
Amazing. Now, for those who are not familiar, give us the elevator pitch on Zest Dental.
So Zest Dental Solutions, we have over 65% market share in full arch dentistry. Our company, in 10 seconds, we give patients a second chance. So when patients lose their teeth, some of their teeth or all of their teeth, our locator abutment is the only abutment in the industry where we connect implants with dentures in less than 2-3 seconds, and you can either use our abutment for removable denture or for fixed dentures.
Very nice. Very nice. And so you really told the story of how you landed as CTO, having been there, done stuff, gone out, and they brought you back in. What blew me away earlier, Fawad, pre-show, when we were saying how you're very unique as a CTO and you're actually involved in the revenue side of the business, not just the technology. How did that come about?
Yeah, so it's there is definitely a part of my personal growth aspiration that I wanted to become more responsible owning a piece of the revenue, because that really pushes me to get even closer to our customers. So going back to my days at Implant Direct, Danaher, I was more behind the scene. I was waiting on someone to tell me what to build and what to focus on. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to leverage my executive MBA and my startup background and build that relationship directly with our customers. And to do that, I also wanted to own a piece of revenue. So what that really means, to give everyone, your audience, a little bit more context. So I raised my hand and I saw an opportunity through digital marketing, e-commerce, and then through customer support logistic. So for example, through e-commerce, because of Locator and the Locator brand, I noticed there were a lot of excitement around Locator, but we were not capturing excitement into an actual sales revenue.
Okay.
So what I did, I actually focused on conversion rate optimization strategy to make sure that the existing traffic that was coming to the website and introducing frictionless customer experience, either through mobile devices, desktop experience, how to translate the traffic into conversion. From a customer support side, Steve, like, we are receiving thousands of calls per day, email messages, chat messages. But because of us wanting to grow the business, leveraging every touch point and translate each touch point into an opportunity to support the growth, those are the areas that for me was a low-hanging fruit. Raised my hand and then supported those organizations through new talent, process management, and then technology that supported the processes we were introduced.
That's amazing. And I think that's fantastic. And that is unique. You don't hear many CTOs that have got involved in this. Now, I know you're leveraging AI to support these different areas. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, obviously, like, everybody talks about AI. So we actually introduced AI applications starting in 2019. So the role of AI at Zest, primarily for the past several years, been around cybersecurity, technology operations, patch management, awareness, you name it, more from a technology perspective. In 2020, we actually introduced the first chatbot on our e-commerce platform, supporting both our customer service team behind the scene and also our customers through the storefront. So what we did
So
specifically,
you guys
Steve,
were early to market with that. That was before generative AI really came to surface, at least publicly.
absolutely. So what we did in 2020, because we're in a medical device environment and we have FDAs and ISOs, the guidelines that we must adhere to. So we focus primarily supporting our customer support team members with the right knowledge at the right time, so that instead of like customer would ask like, hey, what's the status of my order? I have this locator abutment, but I'm not sure what compatible abutments I need for this specific patient who's going to show up in 2 days at my practice. So because of our company history, we have access to lots and lots of research and development material, a lot of documentations that we have developed in the past several decades. So what we did, we digitized the material, we synthesized, we cataloged them, and then when a customer was chatting us that I need X, Y, and Z, behind the scene, we were providing that piece of information to our customer service representative so that then they can either respond via email, respond via chat, or respond over the phone.
Okay.
So improve their productivity significantly. And then later on, we used AI for organic search optimization. So for example, if you go on Google, I don't expect you to overdenture full large vocabularies, but if you do search, we are dominating Google search, organic search pages because of our knowledge management. And then now we're slowly introducing AI capabilities to empower our customers to make informed purchasing decisions.
Gotcha. Tell us about, you had pre-show, you had mentioned that as a medical device manufacturing company, you don't build software systems, you leverage existing. Tell us how you've been able to make that work for your internal systems, for your marketing systems.
Yeah, I mean, since Zest, we are a small company, and we're 100% based in Southern California. We made a conscious decision early on that we would focus all our energy supporting growth initiatives. So because of that vision and going back to our strategic initiative as an organization, we didn't want to build heavy software development practices in-house, which will then lead to, Steve, as you can imagine, to employee retention, engagements, HR, like all these additional activities that you have to have. And for us, because we are small, we decided to actually purchase a software system instead of building systems, purchasing softwares. So specifically, because of Adobe Commerce is widely accepted by several medical manufacturing companies, so we decided to move to Adobe Platform as a Service, Commerce. And then in addition to that, we introduced the Zoho ecosystem so that we could have access to CRM and business intelligence, ticketing system, and a whole suite of applications. And the cost of Zoho compared to Salesforce.com and HubSpot was very, very reasonable and super favorable because of our organization's maturity to such systems. And one mistake a lot of people...
You guys are a manufacturing company as well. So how are you managing that whole side of the operations?
So, I mean, our operations team, we're 100% based in Southern California, as I mentioned. So we don't use sophisticated system to manage the machines at a time. What we are focusing primarily in preventative maintenance and also inspection and making sure that we're producing medical device product that adhere to the regulatory compliance that FDAs and ISOs have. We are in some ways a little bit, we deprioritize that part of the business because it's working so well and we have a very high margin. We are focusing most of our energy on customer experience and commercial activities.
Gotcha. So as a CTO in 2025, what's the biggest challenge you're facing now?
Yes. So because of the economy uncertainty and the fluctuation is happening. So if I'm wearing my commercial hat, My focus is empowering our team to become more efficient in terms of the territories they're supporting, the customers they're supporting, and how we can position our digital marketing platforms, our customer support team, in leveraging AI to really, really focus on where we should spend our time on. So, for example, Steve, in the country, we have over 200,000 general practitioners. So as you can imagine, we cannot reach to every single person. So what I do with my team, we look at ton of data sets. We leverage AI to identify where we see the highest probability of closure and opportunity to support our goals and objective for the month and for the quarter. From technology perspective, I'm really focused on AI and leveraging AI to support our cybersecurity initiatives. And as you know, every day something new comes up. And how do we protect the business against the adversaries?
Are you sure you're not the chief revenue officer or chief marketing officer? It sounds like you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yes, I am. And we're a very small company and we all wear multiple hats.
So certainly within the medical manufacturing, the healthcare industry, there's a lot of regulations, whether it's HIPAA on one side or FDA on the other side. What trends do you think really matter in your industry?
So in our industry, the digital CAD/CAM 3D printing is really moving really fast. Number one, specific to AI, diagnostic is really picking up. In fact, I've been at a couple of shows this year. Steve, for example, when we go to our dentist and they used to take our impression, from lower and upper. So now we have technologies that doctors can digitally scan our teeth and we can see the result in real time on the monitor.
Okay.
So companies like Pearl, you may have heard about them more and more. And then there are companies like VideoJet. What happens, they are creating a second opinion type environment leveraging AI so that as the doctor is scanning our teeth, AI is now telling the doctor maybe deep inside our tooth we might have cavities that the doctor currently doesn't see or the cavity has not developed enough. So AI makes recommendation in terms of preventative care and as a second pair of eyes helping the clinicians in real time as they're scanning. So I see these two trends are really becoming popular in our industry.
Well, I am all for anything that makes my visit to the dentist more efficient because I don't know anyone that likes going to the dentist. So that is very cool. Fahad, what advice do you have for aspiring CTOs?
From time to time, I also post on LinkedIn, and the one thing that I would love for everyone to take away is that get outside of technology department, try to find growth opportunities and help and support the organization, whether it has to do with customer differentiation, customer experience, value propositions, or supporting the company's growth. And going back to my Pepperdine days, Steve, there is a dilemma that between business and technology, business doesn't fully understand and appreciate what the technology department does. And usually in technology department, we don't get involved on the business side or how our commercial team operate, what works, what doesn't work for them.
True.
What I encourage my partners on the technology side, get out of the bubble of technology. I am super proud of what we are able to do with software development and technology implementation. Try to help your company adopt technology better. It gets a little bit uncomfortable from time to time, but that's okay. And we have to a little bit become like a salesperson to help and support the company and become more proactive instead of reactive.
I love it. You bring a unique perspective forward, and that is fantastic. Now, when you're teaching at Pepperdine and you have students that are getting degrees in technology, I mean, it's a pretty rough market for people that don't have experience right now. For senior experienced people, it's still very good. What advice are you giving students?
Yeah, I mean, even for students, even at Zest, we have hired a couple couple of engineers in their 19 and 20 years old, almost zero experience in having the desire and not being afraid of learning and making a difference and working incredibly hard. There's no shortcut. You can't just prompt the ChatGPT and get an answer, but you have to roll up your sleeves, solve a problem, and help and support, your internal customers. And I absolutely mean by employees that work in our company, I treat them as my customers, and receiving voice of customer, what is working and areas of improvement, and making ourselves vulnerable to receive feedback are some of the most important advices that help me reach where I am. And even to this date, Steve, I don't mind grabbing my laptop, go to the customer service, and take some orders over the phone or respond to some customer's email through ticketing system, because it helps me to learn what is working, what is not working. And I don't make just decision. I want to make sure that I show leadership in action as well.
Thank you for getting uncensored with us today. I love your viewpoint from a CTO perspective. Get involved in other parts of the business. That's the only way you understand it. Great advice. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Stay bold, everybody, and keep building.